didn't do that. Get started right now. And so want to bring up Mama Ayana. Where you at, Mama Ayana? Oh, I gotta make you
I'm here.
make you a code so you can turn on your camera so we can see you.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah. All right. And then let's see. Let's add you to the spotlight. There we go. All right.
Free the land.
Free the land. Black August Resistance. How are you?
I'm well. Black August Resistance.
All right.
How you doing, John?
I,
Seems like you're on
I'm
time, in time.
Yeah, I'm doing well, full of energy, excited about this conversation, this program, 45 years. For those of you who are new to Mama Yana, we'll give her a chance to introduce herself a little bit more, but is part of a founding member of the Oakland chapter, part of the Black August Organizing Committee, the set of folks who helped take it from the practice behind the prison walls and bring it into community, and helping to bring it also to the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. One of her pieces, The True History of Black August Origin Resistance, is a must study for many of us trying to understand Black August. And one who, if you hear me tell you it ain't a happy Black August or a merry Black August, it's because Mama Ayana told me to tell you that that it's a commemoration, not a celebration. So it's so excited to have you here and to spend some time with us. So if you could introduce yourself to the folks, tell us a little bit about yourself and some more about your relationship to Black August.
Sure. As Jomo said, I'm a activist. I've been an activist since I was a teenager. Took the New African Creed when I was 18 in South Berkeley. And can you hear me okay, everyone? So from that point on, I dedicated my life to the freedom and liberation and resistance to racism, oppression, and all its many forms. And I joined the Republic of New Africa study group under the guidance of Brother Clinton Brown. It took place in Marcus Bookstore in San Francisco when it was on McAllister Street. And then came into the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement under the leadership of Chokwe Lumumba and Ahmed Obafemi. Was co-founder of the Oakland chapter along with Damira Ahmad, Muja Shakir, and under the leadership of Daramola Cabral, who was part of the New African Independence Movement when she was a teenager. In Berkeley, there was a really strong New African contingent in the Bay Area that started an independent school called the Black House. They organized students at Berkeley High and UC Berkeley and the communities of that work. His recently departed ancestor. At that time, we knew him as Yusufu. So my history is long. I went in began to work in the prisons in 1978 under the leadership of Shaka Athenen. And with behind the walls, we had Shuja and Fatih and Sangu. I wanted to know if Fatih or Sangu was on the call because I would love to invite them to join this conversation if we can. So Sangu or Fatih, if you are on the call, if you can raise your hand. I don't know I can look later, but y'all, it would be, if someone can see if they can locate them, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. We can
So,
go on as panelists. So if you are there, just give us a message in the chat, I believe, and then we can bring you on to the stage.
and I want to say, you know, part of my other orientation into the New African Independence Movement was outside of Clinton Brown and Baba Shokwe and Baba Ahmed, and of course, Baba Watani and Baba Akindele. Ray and Julian Richardson, the founders of Marcus Bookstore, had in their space, they gave us space as community to organize and meet and educate. And they were prime educators of students at San Francisco State University. And their bookstore is still in existence. They're on MacArthur, between MacArthur and 40th Street on Martin Luther King Jr. Way. So if you come to the Bay Area, that is a place to go. And I believe they have an online store. I still go in the store and get my books, pick them out. So we have to support our Black businesses that support our movement. It's very important to make sure that we have our spaces to be.
Absolutely.
That said, what's your next question? That's a little
All
background. Let me add, I'm a mother of 7, 6 boys and a daughter. I'm the wife of Master Timba Bishama. I'm former wife and comrade of Baba Shaka and sister of Harriet Davis. All of us active in the New African Movement, and all of us part of organizing around Black August.
All right. In the chat, folks are saying it's a little difficult to hear, that your sound is coming through muffled.
Okay. Let me see if I can do something. Let me know.
Right. All right.
You can hear me okay though, Jonathan?
Oh yeah, that is 100% better. That, yeah, I don't know what
Hold
you just reversed it.
I'm on the road, and so I wanted to give us some privacy, but I think we have enough privacy now. So
yeah, that's a little better.
Fine.
Yeah, that's way better, right? Folks in the chat, that's
But
good.
I can't hear you as well.
Oh, you can't hear me as well?
Yeah, interesting. So but I can hear you.
All right, I'll try to talk with my big outdoor organizer voice like I'm trying to free the land. All right. So our first question is really around kind of understanding what I would say is some of the first fallen, right? For Black August. So we know some about George Jackson. We know a little bit more about Jonathan Jackson and W.L. Nolan, but Katari Golden, whose death 7 years after George Jackson's assassination really becomes the precipice point that seeds Black August. And there's so little known about Katari. So I wanted to know if you could just talk a little bit about kind of who he was and what his significance was, so much that at his death, Black August is born.
Well, first of all, Katari was a member of the New African Movement, and I want to say he was also a leader of he was an internationalist. I want people to know that. He was a leader of the Black Guerrilla family, and the Black Guerrilla family came under, also was working with the Black Panther Party. When Huey went to San Quentin, he and George had a conversation, and George became a field marshal, and under him, the troops of our movement in the Black Guerrilla family came into a higher level of resistance. Our Panthers and part of the Black Liberation Movement, part of the Black Liberation Army, part of uh, the Republic of New Africa. Our people that were jailed in the war on the Black community, the war on the Black Liberation Movement, came from all aspects of our movement. In the Bay Area, we had strong leadership throughout the different, if you want to call them, factions of our community. Katari took over the leadership. I'm sorry, y'all. There's I'm on the road. I'm in the country. And there's flies in here. So Katari was the leader, the supreme leader of the Black guerrilla family, and he organized with the other brothers and sisters, in particular in San Quentin. They had their own library, they had their study groups, they had their ability, they worked out together, they educated each other, and they were dedicated to the liberation of our people and resistance of oppression. They fought, literally fought, behind the walls. So Katari was the thought leader of Black August. They saw that they wanted to model something after, I think it was Black September, that came out of the Palestine resistance movement. And they had begun to already design Black August on August 1st, 1978, when Katari was playing football on the yard and he hit his head and he was taken to the hospital. But between the time he left San Quentin and by the time he got to San Francisco General, and I know this, I looked at the records, I looked at the pictures, I know what his injuries looked like before he left and when he got there. His injuries were compounded and he was denied treatment in Marin and then taken to San Francisco and died. And in the course of that, between that, he was, we believe he was murdered. So on August 1st, 1978, at the first initiation of Black August, he became a martyr. So when I went to San Quentin to visit people during August, they had their Black armbands on, they had shaved their head, they were fasting to sunrise, from sunrise to sunset in unity with Ramadan, and they were practicing the disciplines. And those disciplines were in honor of Katari. And over the course of the next year, they became a full part of Black August as we began to create the strategy to bring Black August from the prisons to the streets.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me say something else about Katari. Katari was a soldier. He was a warrior. He was inspirational. Until the day he died, he didn't have a stab. He had fought years and did not have a mark on him. He was a powerful warrior. He was an intellect. He was a scholar, and he was a leader in all aspects of the word.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I know I've been so curious as I saw his name, and you've answered a lot of the questions as to why they would take up this struggle, this commemoration, and excited that we've continued this 45 years later. So then, now you've already talked a little bit about it, kind of Marcus Bookstore. You took us back there, made a plug there, but that's the first kind of Black August event in the community. Through the Black August Organizing Committee. So I wanted you to talk about how the committee came together. Who were some of its key leaders? You talked about Baba Shaka, who became an ancestor in 2022. What were some of its accomplishments? And then in particular, talk to us about the role of Black women in propagating Black August in our communities.
That's amazing question, and it's multi-layered. So I think first you asked me about how did we form it, bringing it from the prisons to the streets, and about Baba Shaka's leadership and who he was, and then the role of women, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, you know, because our behind the wall are not really our community. We treat them as if they're not a part of our community. We have a community of millions of people that are behind the walls or in prisons, these kind of concentration camps, whatever name you want to put on it. They're in prisons and jails in this country. They are separated often from their loved ones. When you go to prison, they often take you to places far away from your family. And they are, we as a people have no oversight over our community in these prisons. We have no oversight and no real organized response to the torture, the degradation, the isolation, the alienation, the mental health and health issues of our family behind the walls. We have millions of people going into these prisons, going in young and coming out old. They have these amazing behavior modification and debriefing programs that have impacted our community. And what we see often on the streets with our young people is a direct result of our neglect. That said, Jomo, we were working to bring our families into the prisons. We were working to rebuild the prison movement that had grown so much after Jonathan and George's actions and deaths, and bring community oversight and attention to the conditions of our brothers and sisters behind the walls. And while we were doing that, we also understood that we had political prisoners, and we would also highlight the struggles and the cases of our political prisoners. For example, at the time, there was Graham and Allen. They were fighting, this is 1978. They were getting ready to go to court again for the fourth time to be tried again after multiple hung juries for the supposed murder of a prison guard. Johnny Spain's case was happening at that time. And again, we knew, understood, and saw that the state and the government were beginning to build their apparatus to take down what they considered the last vestiges of our liberation movement, of our resistance of Black people. So we looked at Black August as a way to educate our community around what is happening in the prisons, to call attention to it, to organize around it, and to build a continued area of resistance, but something different by creating this commemoration and bringing it to our community and building these practices. While we build these practices, we're building our ability to resist. We're building our connection together, to connection to liberation and to freedom. And as we built Black August to bring it to the streets, we brought our family members and our communities into the prisons. We had study groups. We had our reading lists. We had where we worked out together and we trained together and we trained to fight together. We supported each other's families, and we made sure when someone was getting ready to come to the streets that they had a visit. They had a visitor, someone to help to acclimate them. So we built our own reentry program, and we also worked on making sure people were housed and employed before they came out. The prisoners in San Quentin also supported creating the prison law office so that prisoners could have representation of their multiple cases and claims against the state and the prisons, as well as many innocent people were behind the walls. And I want to say, you know, in the war against the Black liberation movement, many of our comrades were already had been in the liberation movement. Hence, while I was working around the RNA and MXGM, I was also advocating for us to change our definition of a political prisoner, because many people were underground. They were not recognized and acknowledged like a lot of our well-known soldiers who had who had support and who had recognition. And I still believe that we should change the definition of a political prisoner. With our people and when we go and we talk to other liberation movements or to the UN and talk to other NGOs as organizers, we have a right to say we have political prisoners, including our prisoners of conscience, are political prisoners, whether they were conscious when they got in the prisons or whether they came out. That was some of also what we were working for around Black August. Excuse me. Yeah. Not time to break my fast yet.
I know. I'm with you.
Throat spray.
All right.
And
then in that, talk about the role of women.
What'd you say?
And talk about the role of women, particularly Black women.
And I want to talk about Baba Shaka. And when we were organizing within the prisons under the leadership of Shuja and Fatih and Sangu and other brothers and sisters, we were organizing outside. And I'll talk about our women's cadre, but Shaka and Heshimu were our leadership outside. And they worked with us to form our cadres, our study groups, our organizing strategies. But oftentimes, Hashima and Heshimu, and Shaka could not go inside the prisons. But so we, sisters and brothers that could go inside, came in and were representation of the streets within the prisons. So we would have conversations in the visiting rooms. We did our organizing from the visiting rooms, including those who were in segregated housing behind the glass. And we communicated in various ways and created our organizing strategies. Shaka was a strong leadership in that. He was very dedicated. He went into prison at 17 and first became a Black Muslim and then joined the Black guerrilla family when he was maybe 18 or 19. And also was a powerful warrior, an amazing intellect. He had a lot of love and compassion for the people, and he never left his dedication to his brothers and sisters and comrades in the prisons and jails of this country. And openly and consistently organized for Black artists when most of our movement had dropped it, you know? And then um, when he uh, became ill, he was partially paralyzed from an aneurysm. He continued to organize, and he worked with Kilu to, and out of that work, she created Black August International, but that wasn't until the late 90s. But until then, we kept Black August going. I also want to mention Matulu's role. Matulu was in prison in Southern California, and some of my comrades went in, and he mentioned to me that they were there, and we began to talk about Black August. We were organizing for an event in August and in the prison, and he, said, I know Watani and Makungu and Akanyele, and they never stopped acknowledging Black August, but Matulu made it his mission to begin to reactivate Black August. That was, I believe, about August 1993, and began to talk about it. And that's how I think the youth in MXGM began to embrace Black August again. And I know that they kind of put forward the word to folks when they went to Cuba to activate it, and Black August hip hop was born out of that. That said, next question was the women in Black August. Women were key to Black August. As organizing strategies, we carried the messages. We did a lot of the strategizing and planning around and helping people in the reentry process, right? A lot of the sisters had husbands and family inside, and they held down the homes, made sure people had their monies on their books and monies for the phone calls until the organizing around legal services for prisoners with children and all of us are none around the phone calls that became the national organizing process. Phone calls were hugely cost prohibitive. So even though we were organizing around our politics, we were also organizing to impact the day-to-day lives of our community members behind the walls. There was communications between families. We had lawyers that were in place to support our work at every turn, and many of them were women. And we formed our women's cadre, led by myself and Kishefu. And we did a lot of planning and strategizing. I don't want to go into all the details. I think you all get the picture.
Yeah, we gotta keep some secrets on.
Training together and working together. I'd also like to say two things. Sukari Gauldin, Katari Gauldin's wife, and his name is spelled Gauldin. She was she also was a member of the New African Independence Movement and intersected that work before he died with many members of the New African Independence Movement. Um, and then one of the things that inspired me to bring wellness to our movement, you know, to begin to advocate for that as a young woman, is a conversation that we had with Afeni Shakur, um, around she was not part of our cadre, but she was very supportive of our work when she was in the Bay Area. And I think it was 1981, we were having a conversation at a meeting in the park, and she began to talk about how impactful the movement was on women, and that we didn't have anything in place around our wellness. And I was already advocating for the vegetarian lifestyle. My contraband that I used to bring in was books, so I would bring in clandestinely books like Dick Gregory's Cooking with Mother Nature or 2000 Season, and some other books to help evolve our movement behind the walls as well, right? Because so when Afeni really began to talk about how a lot of the sisters underground were having breakdowns, how people's health was failing, that just reinforced my belief that we can have all the revolutions in the world, but if we're not healthy, and we're not healthy as a people, we don't have healthy practices, healthy relationships, work healthy, and we're all still learning this, right? As a movement, we are still a young movement as social structures and cultures go on the planet. So we're still evolving our work. Our resistance is still growing with every generation. And each generation, if we do anything for each other, we have to support staying healthy, being in these healthy relationships. So that includes our organizations. And that was one of the things that Afeni spoke to us about. This is one of the most impactful conversations that I can talk about that we had as part of our Black August Women's Cadre, is the idea of health. So not long after that, we were having our backyard gardens, right? And throughout Black August, we always made sure we had activities for the children, and the children were also training and learning.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. As you were talking, just had visions of Cecil Fatima and the women who helped organize the Haitian Revolution, and seeing so many parallels between the work that you all have been doing to help bring Black August to our communities and to practice. So our final question, kind of in the spirit of Sankofa, you've been at your back, have you look back, reflect back on 45 years, as we look forward to another 45 years. You say we're young struggle, a young movement. That's good news for many of us who are ticking. The clock is ticking on us. But as we move forward, carry it on for another 45 years, what struggles should we be thinking about engaging? What's our call? How do we continue to center political prisoners and prisoners in our organizing, in our everyday struggle?
So that's interesting. Two things. We can't forget the past, right? I think it's really important that we keep the original intention of Black August on the forefront of what it is. I really think that there's been a co-optation of our movement, our Black August movement, and there's been the nonprofit industrial complexing of Black August. A lot of organizations look to be authentic by bringing Black August, talking about Black August. Many of them are ill-informed, and part of that is because other people over the years have tried to make Black August something other than it is, right? That includes, it is an honoring of the resistance and the actions of resistance throughout our history. It is an honoring of our political prisoners. But first and foremost, we really have to look at what is happening with our people in prison. If you are talking Black August, you need to have relationships with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people. Your organization, your church, whatever you are connecting with, has to in some way bring in education around prisons. It's wonderful for us to commemorate our fallen, and that is the original purpose. And part of that original purpose in doing that was to call attention and build our movement to fight the mass incarceration of our people. And because we did not do that well, we are dealing with the results of it, even in this moment. So right now, it's the call for Black August 365, right? Our political prisoners that have been released, many of them who spent up to 36 to 40 years in segregated housing units because of their commitment to our people, not having committed any other crime to put them in segregation. Many of our Black August comrades fought for the prison hunger strike. They fought to release our people from the shoes, and they fought to create the agreement to end hostilities. One of the most amazing resistance documents that has come out of our movement. So that's, that is where we are now. And when we did the Black August conference in Oakland in 2018, we made a decision to work against the enslavement in the United States, abolition, removing the enslavement for prisoners out of the 13th Amendment, removing enslavement for prisoners out of state constitutions. So that is one of the major pieces of work right now. And as we build forward in the future, I think it's really important for us to build a resistance culture, not only that is healthy, but fearless. We have to move out of our fearlessness, and we have to, it's healthy. It's healthy to resist. Resistance is sacred work. It is powerful to evolve the work in a way. It is really important, especially for y'all that are younger, that we create a science around our resistance. We can create a science around being clandestine. We can create a science around conspiring for our freedom and our liberation. And it's going to take a movement that includes the elders and the youth, and then those who are still what I call the youngish people. We have to be united. We have to create strategic unity. We need to come together and find what we agree on and build together around those things. There is room for everybody. We also must move out of this kind of elitism that often happens within our movement, where because we are revolutionary minded, because we're not revolutionaries, we're not in a revolution right now, y'all. We might be in an evolution, and that we think we know better, right? This and our movement and our science to begin to shift this um, mental slavery that our people are under. And that includes the mental slavery of these devices. Hence why 79, 78, 79, we gave up being on media for a month, right?
Uh-huh.
Corporate media, we were allowed to use our own media that we had at that time, which were tapes and the radio, right? And we did not use corporate um, stores during August. And of course, sometimes you have to, right? We know that the children have to go back to school, but if we begin to plan strategically, we can create co-ops, we can do our buying for Black businesses. So we encourage people to buy from Black businesses. This is our past, our present, and our future. This type of work, organizing together, making sure that we recycle as many Black dollars as possible, moving out of this type of isolationism that the elite power minded, that we have to build power and our organization has to be one in power. That's why organizations like Malcolm X Grassroots Movement that are open to people from other organizations and that it is a consensus building process are so important. And if you're on this call and you are not a part of an organization that is organizing in resistance and liberation, join one now. If you aren't familiar with MXGM, check it out. Check out a chapter. Build yourself and educate. There's so much Black August right now. And there's so many great books on liberation. But I'll be glad, Jonathan, to share a reading list with you. I'm thinking of Baba Seku's book. What is it? See You in the Whirlwind.
Mhm.
And then there's Baba. I'll send a list. I'm not going to use the time.
Yes, yes.
But there's many great writers. And I would finally say, when we were, as we build from the past and forward into the future, when we were building Black August, we were also building with other liberation organizations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were building with the Pan-African Congress. We were building with the PAC, the Frelimo. We were building with Congo, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, and Palestine, and the liberation movements in Brazil and in the Philippines. And I mean, the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Sandinistas, we were building to have a worldwide revolution. It might be harder, but with the minds of the tech savvy young people, and you might even take this month to really get off tech and think about and strategize about how you can and what science we can create to free the minds of our people and bring them back to talking to one another, connecting with one another, meeting together safely, of course, and creating anti-surveillance strategies, training strategies, survival strategies together, so that we are not connected to the grid all the time in our movement, that we have a movement that is underground, that is clandestine, that is sometimes one-on-one, that is safe. I really encourage us, if you bring someone into your movement work, know who they are, know their background, and be careful. And if someone is agitating, it's not always a good thing to be agitated. Check them out, you know, if they are consistently disruptive of your groups and your organizing strategies, you might question them. I say this, all this, and I mean, there's much more I could say. As a movement elder, now is the time for me to share what I know. There's a lot of ways to do it. This is one. And I decided to begin to be fearless in what I talk about to the people. I always have, actually. And I say
Right. Absolutely.
I love you all.
Oh, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Oh, thank you for pouring into us, feeding us, even though we're not eating yet. You can see folks in the chat loving pulling the quotes. So folks in the chat, we can give some love to Mama Ayana for coming and spreading the wisdom to us for Black August. So we greet you, Black August Resistance, free the land. Thank you, Mama Ayana.
Right. And I also want to shout out to the Oakland chapter. You know, it's what, we're 40 years strong almost, right? 30 years strong. And, you know, it's still being held down. And especially with the leadership of Senyaka and Kana and Deb, I just want to acknowledge their work. I'd like to invite, if you're in Oakland, we are doing Black August.
Hey, you have an event coming up.
August 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll put the link in the chat. All right.
Beautiful.
And I'll put my email if you want to, and number if you want to contact me.
Right. Thank you again. All right, folks, let's give it up for Mama Ayana. Free the land. Free the land.
Resistance by any means necessary.
Any means necessary. All right, beloveds. There you have it. And we are just getting started. We're not even done. We got more. We got more. We got more. So we're excited. Mama Ayana was already foreshadowing where we're going next. We're going to move into a intergenerational conversation. Before that, we wanted to take a quick break. And for this break, we also wanted to get to one of our first fight requests. And as Mama Ayana talked about, kind of the work of Black August is not only freeing political prisoners, but making sure when they come home, they continue to have the resources that they need to heal and to thrive and to live out their lives. Many of them continue to organize. And so most recently, Veronza Bowers has been released. And so we wanted to play a piece from his album, Finding Peace in the Chaos, that he released almost a year ago around this time. I think it's a very beautiful piece. It was recorded while he was still in federal prison. You can hear it in the background. It's a part of the meditation album that they did, again, and trying to raise awareness. And then we're going to put up a slide. We're going to ask you to take a moment to donate to his coming home. And then when we come back on the other side, we're going to jump into our intergenerational panel. We're going to hear from Baba Watani, Baba Herman, Naima, and XO, a kind of intergenerational conversation, again, reflecting on Black August at 45. So with that, I'm going to get the song going and also the slide up. Let's get it started. And then we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
My name is Veronza Bowers Jr. I'm a former member of the original Black Panther Party. I hope this will be a former political prisoner. But at this moment, I've held in captivity for almost a half of a century, 50 years. With that being said, Rev Love, Chief of Judah, Book Club Nation, and I hope that you have enjoyed this meditative journey as much as we enjoyed producing these tracks. I would now like to share with you some of the things I learned about finding peace in the chaos. The pain of imprisonment is a constant pain that does not let up or go away, even when you sleep. Every breath you take and every step you make is a constant reminder that you much rather be taking that breath and that step in another place, a place of your own choosing. Add to that all of the logic-defying rules and regulations and downright meanness, wickedness, see all around you, not to mention the 1,001 things you see and hear and just store away in that dark cave right behind the eyes, a relentless bombardment of the senses. One's ability or inability to deal with all of that becomes the measuring rod to determine whether one will survive the fire.
This call is from a federal prison.
I'm not just talking about physical survival. That part will sometimes put to real test is easier by comparison. Physical confrontation happens like a storm. It comes in all of its intensity, and then it's over. You either survived or you didn't. Clear cut. But surviving the relentless and countless intangible assaults upon one's very being, on one's soul, is a whole other matter. Doesn't matter whether we're talking about 1 or 2 years, or 5 or 10 or 30, or however many years. It's the relentlessness. Anyone, no matter how strong or intelligent or courageous, no matter how wealthy or religious, anyone who has to live any amount of time on this side of hell is damaged. The damage is greater in some and less in others, but we all are damaged. This is such an abnormal environment. How could it be otherwise? It is a constant battle to learn and apply ways by which to survive this thing and still be recognizable as a member of the human family. Ask yourself, how does one maintain his or her sanity living in an insane environment? How does one develop his or her character in a place well organized to make us into a number? How does one stick to positive morals and live by lofty principles in a place where such are considered weaknesses, where immorality and decadence are cool, and principles are used only for expediency of the moment? Keeping behavior is a constant reminder of the hypocrisy of the do as I say do, not as I do sickness that so plague our society. When you were born, you took your very first precious little breath and you exhaled and began the journey of your life. You're still on that journey. Can you imagine how many times you have repeated that first meaningful act in your life? That is to say, the inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. When we leave this world and the cold wings of death impose us, our last meaningful act will be a sigh, exhale, piece of the breath of life. All between that first and last breath is a journey. You and I don't know where we will be tomorrow, nor do we have any idea what tomorrow has in store for us, if we are here or there. Yesterday we can enjoy or agonize over only in our memories. Living the past as if it were the only thing worthwhile is a common practice, but not only us Catholics, but also for those whose now is painful or empty. It is an escape mechanism used by the weary and the sufferers. Some terms are drugs, alcohol, compulsive eating, sex, mind-numbing games, and videos. Ceaseless chatter where thought is half murder. TV, watching sports, all escape attempts, conscious or unconscious. But lo and behold, when the drug-induced high is over, when the head throbs from the hangover, when any of the 1,001 things fail to ease the burning pain or bring satisfaction to that gnawing hunger, the music and the chatter stops. What is left but that utter and frightening silence? That is our starting place. With a little practice, the silence won't be frightening at all. Rather, it will become a place of refuge. Not a refuge to run from the storms of life or to escape the pain of circumstance. The silence becomes your place in which you can embrace the storms of life and welcome the pain, even as a swimmer.
Right. So that was Veronza Bowers, Finding Peace in the Chaos. It's a much longer piece. It goes about 10 minutes. And again, it's a beautiful and powerful meditation around the power of presence, even under sets of conditions that we don't want to be in, even under the condition of incarceration. Again, speaks to the power of commitment, politics, and a desire to be free. So again, I invite y'all to make sure you give a donation to Veronza Bowers and welcome him home and continuing his care. We wish him so much love and so much gratitude for the work that he did while still inside and the work that we know he'll continue to do once he's free. So up next, beloveds, we have our intergenerational panel. Again, we're going to keep building. So I'm going to bring on to the stage my comrade from the Atlanta chapter who's going to be moderating this panel, Taliba Obuya, our membership coordinator, membership engagement coordinator. I'm going to invite Baba Watani, Baba Herman Bell, Naima, all of y'all to come on screen, and I'll bring y'all in and add y'all to the spotlight, and then I'm going to dip out and turn it over to Taliba to take us into our next piece of intergenerational conversation. I'm missing two more. Where the youngish people at? All right, there we go. That's one. I see what had that. I see why. All right. And then XO, you there? All right.
Oh, my room's rather dark.
All right, you are still a shining light. All right, with that, turn it over to Taliba to take us into our next conversation, Black August Resistance.
All right, Black August, free the land. Peace, y'all. I'm so excited to be present. Sorry, I just heard a little music. It was my background. Okay, y'all. So anyway, free the land, y'all. It's Black August. This has been so awesome. I got so caught up in participating and listening and learning, and ever thankful for the examples to be here. But as we continue this conversation of this intergenerational conversation tonight, I'm just sharing that MXGM, the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, is truly dedicated to building a protracted struggle. Like many freedom-loving people, we are determined to struggle 1,000 years to free the land if necessary. This means we must be committed to building an intergenerational movement, because what we start, we know that we won't inherently finish, but it is our duty to participate. So this we are committed to a movement where our elders are honored and our youth are respected. So today we're excited, as Comrade Jomo was saying, to continue this intergenerational conversation with first two former political prisoners, movement elders, and then also the next generation of MXGM organizers. And so will you welcome our panelists, Baba Watani Tahimba, Baba Herman Bell, Comrade Naima Bendele, and Comrade Show. Okay, and then I had a note that maybe someone else was jumping in, but it feels like it's the five of us. And I'm like, y'all, I'm like beyond excited. I'm gonna try to fangirl down a little bit, and so that we can have our conversation tonight. And so to kick us off with being Southern, being New African, I'm gonna just kick off with our elders. And so for our elders, can you please tell us a little bit about who you are and a story about how you became a political prisoner? And then along the way, if you can just talk about your relationship to Black August and what is inherently significant to you. Who's gonna kick us off? I feel like Baba Watani's looking at Baba Herman.
I'm gonna defer to my elder, Baba Herman.
I knew you was gonna say that, yes.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here and to hear Mama Ayana. I mean, she covered so many memories and experiences about the prison condition, and that was quite inspiring. And I'm sure the listeners should take full advantage of that, because there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of struggle there, a lot of pain, and a lot of sacrifice. My name, of course, is Herman Bell. I'm a former member of the Black Panther Party. I also was a member of the Black Underground. I engaged in extra-legal activity, and my anonymity was compromised along the way. I had to go underground, and I was there for a while. I was captured in 1973 in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was then kidnapped and brought to New York. I had a charge of assassinating two New York City policemen. So that was a charge. I was convicted and I was sentenced, and I spent 45 years in prison. I've been around the horn, so to speak, in both state and federal institutions. And while on the way, I ran into Veranza there in Atlanta, federal prison. And we spent about 2 years there, as there were a few other comrades there. So as I say, I came to New York in 79, and I arrived at Attica, of all places, you know. And so it, 45 years in all that that has come to pass over those years, the prison struggle and mentoring and teaching. And so that occupied a lot of my time in prison, and aside from also of trying to stay alive. Okay. So my relationship to Black August came about as a result of I saw a news paper article in San Francisco where I was living at the time, and on the front cover was Jonathan Jackson having vamped on the Marin County courthouse to rescue George and some of the comrades there. It was unsuccessful. I'm there. There's a very famous photo that was taken of him bringing the judge and the DA out of the courthouse, and they went in. They got in a van and they were getting ready to go, and they didn't make it simply because they fired so many rounds in that van. It made it look like Swiss cheese. I think Rochelle may have survived. That he was the only one who was that did survive, and everybody else was killed. So I went to Jonathan's to his funeral, and I went to George's funeral, and it was real like a hit and go. It was difficult for me to actually make that decision, but I did make it because there was so many police surveillance, FBI, and all of that, filming and taking photos, and it wasn't a good place for me to be. But I was compelled. I just couldn't stay away. I had to go and be near, that memorial, and it was packed. I mean, the church, anybody else in the church. I mean, that's and the grounds itself were packed. People was on the roofs. People was climbed trees just to get a look at all that was going on there, and I felt proud of that. But I was very hurt that these brothers had been murdered. And one additional thing is that behind what was done at the Marin Courthouse is why now when you go into, I guess, most of the courts in this country, they got plexiglass, they got metal detectors and all of that as a precaution, so to speak. So that's my connection with the with Black August. But I must say that Black August has always been celebrated wherever I have gone. Inside the institutions, I remind the brothers what time it is, and oftentimes brothers don't have to be reminded because they know. But anyway, I'll pass it on for now.
Thank you, Baba. Baba Tani.
Free land, Black August Resistance, y'all. I'm glad to be here on this intergenerational panel because we know this is a protracted struggle. And I think the question was how I became a political prisoner and also how I became involved with Black August. Was that the question?
Yes, Baba. Mm-hmm.
So let me just do it just the opposite of that. So I was a Western Regional Coordinator for the National Black Human Rights Corps. Oh, I'm a founding member of the New African People's Organization and our Master Association, Malcolm X Grassroots Movement currently. But in the 1960s, 1970s, when I was the Southern California representative of the National Task Force for COINTELPRO Litigation and Research with a particular assignment to Geronimo Gijaga. I was also the Western Regional Coordinator for the National Black Human Rights Coalition. And that put me in contact with a lot of the prisoners. But I was a paralegal and a legal investigator for Lou Myers and Stuart Hamlin and began to visit Geronimo inside of San Quentin. So in 1979, the Ad Hoc Committee with Solidarity for Black August called for a demonstration for August the 25th of 1979 outside the gates of San Quentin. It was titled Black Liberation Movement Inside and on the Outside. So basically we was trying to connect both inside and outside. Coming to that demonstration, I visited Geronimo while he was inside. The brothers was already in the middle of Black August commemoration, and Mama Ayana's already talked about some of the things they did. So that was my introduction to Black August resistance, and actually seeing in the following year, I instituted that in our African Institute of Martial Arts and our New African Security Union as our part of our protocols. And so that's basically my connection to Black August. But I was a grand jury resistant. A grand jury resistant basically says that we become politically interned because when the state can't find anything else to do with it, that's what they'll do. My brother, my comrade, Dr. Matuda Shakur, was forced underground after the 1981 Brinks expropriation attempt. And he was arrested in my town of Los Angeles. The Fed's position was they thought I was harboring. However, they never brought charges because they couldn't win those charges. But they knew that they could incarcerate me because I was not going to testify before a grand jury. We took a position of non-collaboration. I would have been the 15th person actually part of our movement would have did that. So when I went to court on August 21st and refused to testify before the grand jury, they brought me back in the courtroom, and then the judge basically said something about the, you hold the keys to your cell, you can go home anytime you give up to handwriting, fingerprint, and testimony that we want. And my supporters began to make an uproar in the courtroom. It was August 21st, so we was in the middle of Black August commemoration. We were fasting, it was training. The marshal they was given an order to clear the courtroom, but they tried to clear the courtroom, some of our martial arts instructors, as well as our security people, and the marshals became embarrassed. So bottom line is they gaffled me up and they sent me to FCI Terminal Island, because Los Angeles at the time did not have a metropolitan correctional institute, correctional center. And so Terminal Island was the place they housed pre-sentence people that was doing time. It was a multi-purpose place. But I went straight from the streets to the SHU for the first 45 days. So I didn't have 45 years, Baba Herman. I only did 14 months. The grand juries are impounded for 18 months at a time, and it already had been impounded for 4 months, but I wasn't aware of that. So that's basically how I became a political prisoner, because I refused to testify against our movement, and I refused to give information, and that's the position we take around non-collaboration. I hope that answered most of your questions. If there are more other
It
ones.
did, Baba, always. No. You be right on point and timely. So yes, and thank you to both of you all. Again, just feel much gratitude for your loving us in action and to hear these stories. And so to our younger folks who are here, can you all tell us about who you are, how you became an organizer for self-determination, self-respect, and self-defense with the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, and then also what is significant about Black August to you? Like, ooh, who going? Show Naima, show. The show you came off me, go for it.
I can go. Yeah, I actually took some notes because we got the questions beforehand, but just to like spit off rip. I so in terms of Black August and my introduction to Black August, my first memory with Black August is concert for Black August when I was maybe 6.
How's that?
And I sang a song called actually I don't know the name for it. I know the entire song. I just don't know the official name for it. But I sang this song in front of a lot of people, and it was, yeah, exactly.
Hey, Show, we just got a little bit of feedback. I don't know if it's an internet connection or if you possibly should go off of camera, maybe. It's just a bunch of
Should I
static.
try?
Yeah, your video is also a little delayed. Okay, let's try it
Okay.
now.
Is that a little bit better? Perhaps.
It's
Maybe?
kind of. Oh, it is when you say maybe, but so yeah, maybe let's just go
Maybe?
for it. Yeah,
I can also try my
this is great.
AirPods.
This is great.
This is great. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. So, and then something else is, interestingly, my grandfather, who is Russell Maroon Shoatz, a longtime political prisoner, was born in August. And we did a lot of work to get him out of prison. Okay. Folks are asking for the pods. Okay.
Yes, if they
Pods
can
it
write.
is.
Okay, great. So maybe while you
Pods it is.
transition. Okay, do you have it now? Do we need to transition over to Naima, then you can come back in?
Yeah, let's let Naima go.
There.
Sabotage. Peace, everyone. Free the land. Black August Resistance. My name is Naima Akiwole Bandele. I'm a Panther Cub and a former New African Scout. So my start into this was young. They didn't let us leave, so we're still here. And some of my significance, my connection to Black August is through my comrades like Sho. We grew up together in the same house for a while. So really loving the families, children and grandchildren of political prisoners has been a lot of my political upbringing. And it was really just reinforcing us to have like these new African values instilled in us, and it really became part of our reality. So I feel like we're really geared and ready for this fight because we've been able to really experience some of this new African dream, and it was our childhood. So I'm really grateful to my elders for making that a reality. And I think Sho was mentioning, but we always show the Black August hip hop concert documentary made by Dream Hampton. And in that clip, you'll see a baby Sho singing Praise the Red, Black, and Green. And so I'm just so geeked and happy that Sho is on this panel today.
Right? I'm excited too. Sho, I don't know if your sound is ready and back. But this is so awesome. I'm so happy, as Sho said, the questions are pre-written and we did do our tech run-throughs and all that because it's the grins that I'm having, the questions I want to ask. Take y'all down a Taliba thread real quick. But Sho, are you able to come back?
How is this?
It's sounding good.
Is
You might even want to dare to turn the camera on. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I live in Vermont, so Wi-Fi here is not the greatest. Neither is cellular.
It's great. Mama Yana told us we need to unplug anyway. So, but you're sounding real good. You're coming in clear.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so Maroon is like a very important part of my lineage. He was held in solitary for something like 22 consecutive years. And that has really motivated my family to raise me in a way to like truly and deeply respect and honor the ways in which our freedom fighters and our elders have like really like used their lives to give this towards our struggle, towards our freedom struggle. He was part of the Black Liberation Army, and he has a book in the room, and it's an autobiography. So that's beautiful. Yeah. And my father does a camp, one of which is in August, and also fasts during August, as like a cleansing and strength of mind and honoring the original of Black August. Yeah.
Awesome. Great, thank you. And thank you for that. So as we jump into this conversation, I wanted to ask you, Baba Watani, when you listen to this generation share their story and their relationship to Black August, what do you hear their struggle and this generation of freedom fighters?
A good question. I always have hope for this generation. I'm really impressed with what the work they've been doing. Naima's all over the place. She's really one that puts a lot of work in, and all the people that's been doing this. So I believe just looking at the work that they're doing and just continuing the same struggle we have. Ours is still a struggle for self-determination. It hadn't changed. It's still a protracted struggle. So we need every generation to be involved. And y'all's participation now shows that. I'm really proud of that.
Ashe, thank you for that, Baba. And then Baba Herman, as we just kind of jump in and keep us going, the United States response to Ferguson and George Floyd and Stop Cop City and other efforts to end genocide in Palestine and elsewhere has really been surveilled. Their plan has been to surveil, to harass, to criminalize, and then to arrest activists, which is creating new waves of political prisoners while continuing to deny the existence of current political prisoners. What is our responsibility to these new political prisoners and those older political prisoners and prisoners of war still behind the walls?
That's a good question because there's no easy answers there. But I will say you support them and get them out, you know? So insofar as like supporting them, I think that some kind of fun, a kind of war chest could be put together so that like we could send the brothers, the sisters, a monthly stipend to help them purchase their commissary and whatever else that they may need. And this is done on a monthly basis. I think that helps, and it just alleviates just one other major concern that the brothers and sisters may have behind the walls. And also to do what we can to maintain family ties. Family ties are very important to the brothers and sisters who happen to be locked up. Now, how does that work? Well, I'll use that as an example of the Alliance of Families for Justice, for example. They have a program that's related to the families of those who are incarcerated, which is interesting. And they like meet once a week, and they discuss what's going on with their loved ones inside the prisons and whatever issues that may arise that needs immediate attention. Folks out in the streets can be apprised of it, and then they can move on it accordingly if they can, because sometimes men are beat up pretty bad in those prisons. They're thrown off in the box and they kind of like just disappear. So when word is put out there, then there's a chance that something can be addressed in that regard. And so this is like how families can be connected to their loved ones by the family members of incarcerated brothers and sisters. You know, they get together and they discuss, they talk about their pain, what's going on, what is needed, what should be done. And we should also provide some political support in the sense that, like, as far as like You can go and visit the brothers and ask them what their needs are, and then you begin to address them if you can. If not, well, then you try to get folks together and organize a way in as far as like you're able to support these brothers. Now, this is a race. I should say, this is a marathon and not a race. So along the way, you're going to get discouraged because things don't happen the way you want them to immediately happen. You're not going to get folks out the way you want them. I'm fortunate that I came out, but I came out as a result of a lot of support. You know, that's what brought me out. And by me coming out, I like to think that I softened them up so the other brothers could come out too. But it requires, you know, you have to stick to it and be there for them and don't disappoint them. You go visit the brothers, you write them, and you just share what is going on with them, with community. And we try to, of course, at some point, we're going to abolish these prisons, but that's going to be a while yet, but we're working at it. And so that's just some of the things that we could do as far as like supporting the brothers and sisters in the prisons.
Awesome, thank you. We support them and we get them out. I love that. So for this younger generation, and truly like younger generation, these are the young people that Mama Yana was talking about, not the young-ish. But for one of the challenges organizing to free political prisoners who were incarcerated in the 60s and the 70s is a generation gap. How do we make fighting for free to prisons like Ahmaud Siddiqui, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, Joy Powell, and others relevant for today's generation? Shay, you want to jump in? I'm about to say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can go. Yeah. So in conversations that I've had with my dad, which we talk very often about these things, especially when we were doing work around my grandfather, but we have this saying calling like make it sexy. You know what I'm saying? But I think that in an age where attention spans are getting a lot shorter, and I can even speak to is truly not as long as it used to be. I will be so honest. But in an age where attention spans are rapidly shortening, I think, you know, the sort of like flashiest, funniest, most engaging posts are the ones that have the farthest reach. And so I think that it's really important to find a way to truly engage young people, and that everything is moving so incredibly quickly that like even for me now is hard to keep up with. But just like being able to catch on to what is going on and keeping our ears to the ground. What are young people talking about? What do young people like? What are they saying? Like what? How do we get them engaged? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do they already want? What do they already engage with? And how do we? Okay, word. That's what you're about. Okay, this is how we tie that in. Oh, you skibbity toilet, boom, over here. Like that's what I'm saying. So yeah.
Sounds good. I'm hearing TikToks. Oh yes, free my committee. You hear that? So Naima, what do we need to be doing for this younger generation, for this generation gap, and to keep that steady fight up? Like you bring me into fighting for Baba Kamal. So what should we be doing for today's generation to make this relevant?
Yeah, one thing is definitely taking cue from the children of these political prisoners. Kasise is definitely the person who I answer to directly. And when it comes to instruction on what she would like to see happen with her father, and just trying to honor the decisions that the family has made. And something Baba Herman said earlier was not to give any false promises, to don't make any false promises to these political prisoners, to only make realistic commitments. And that's something that is hard to do, especially as a young person, because you really believe that you can change the world. But we're trying to make these realistic commitments. It's one of the things. And then carrying on the legacy of organizing that we carry from like our parents, like me and Sho, I think something that's important is taking care of ourselves and encouraging our elders and our other organizers around us to take care of ourselves so that we're actually sustained in this fight for Black liberation. So we're not seeing revolutionaries get burned out and not live full, long lives with their families because they're overworked in this fight for Black liberation. It's too hypocritical. It's also important to just tell the stories of our political prisoners, all the contributions they made in our society. A lot of these social services programs that we have wouldn't have existed if the Black Panther Party wasn't doing all these grassroots organizing. We would not have a lot of these services and resources in our community. And to get young people involved, it's really important to note that our PPs were our age. They were their late teens to early 20s when they were doing the bulk of this organizing, and while they're being incarcerated, captured on the streets. And that's something that we're seeing now with all the campus uprisings and all the Stop Cop City marches. We're seeing a new wave of young people getting introduced to the prison industrial complex in really harsh ways. So we are getting politicized in kind of the worst way, but it's really important to, you know, grab onto this moment and make sure that we can make sense of it and make a movement out of it that's actually sustainable.
Ashe, grab it and make sense of it. Thank you so much. And thank you for the conversation thus far. We're going a little bit over, but I am wondering, because without understanding hopes and engagements and just how do we do this, we also want to take away what are lessons that we've learned, right? So knowing that the state will continue to make new political prisoners as times continuously getting hot, what lessons do we need to harvest from today to carry on to carry the struggle on to another generation? Like, I'm not gonna lie, Baba Herman, I loved how you framed your reasons for incarceration, but then Baba Watani, you're talking about the grand jury, and so how they'll also try to use us against each other. What are just some lessons, some gems that you all will share, and anyone on panel even, because political prisoners are coming out of Ferguson. We see them with Stop Cop City. We see the environmentalists. Activists are still being assassinated, and we know that that was in the 60s and the 70s. So yeah, let me step back, and what can y'all share, Baba Watani?
Yeah, I don't think we should be discouraged by people being arrested. Part of our jobs once we're inside is to organize, do the same thing we're doing on the street. We do. So when I was incarcerated in August, I was still in prison the following year, and I brought August commemorations to Sherman Island for the first time they had done it in the federal system. So that was just an example of you can organize our movement no matter where you are. And we should continue to do that.
Yes, and Baba.
I first and foremost, we should continue to resist as we have always resisted. This ain't over until it's over, you know? And so like, we should be very clear-eyed about that. And we should take inspiration from our young people in terms of like what they're doing. And as far as like advancing the interests of their struggle, of our struggle. You know, it's difficult for them to find the way, same as it was for us. Well, we persevered, and the youngsters, I have faith that they will persevere. And one additional thing, I urge us all to pay attention to what's going on in the motherland, in Africa. There's a lot that's going on there. We have a global shift that's also going on. So that also gives me hope in terms of changes, because change is inevitable anyway. And so like we stay the course as we have as a people, because if we didn't, our generation here now would not be here. We're here because of what our parents did, what our forebears did. And so we should take a lot of pride and strength from that. So we stay the course and continue fighting until we win our freedom.
Ashe. Naima and Sho, any lessons you all want to share with what it means to do this work and to be safe?
Yeah, real quick, specifically in the fight to free our political prisoners, I think it's really important, especially during the month of Black August, to realize that we don't need many awareness campaigns, we need freedom campaigns, that we don't want to make celebrities necessarily out of our political prisoners, but we want to bring them home. And in order to do that, we need strategy, and it needs to be really organized. It doesn't have to always be public. So I think that's an important lesson. It's not always going to be a very public facing freedom campaign like we saw with Barbara Herman. We just saw him come home, but the work was really getting done behind the scenes. I'll pass the show.
Ashe.
Can I get that question one more time? I'm so
This
sorry.
essentially, yeah, we know that the state is still coming for us. What are lessons that we can learn as we continue to fight and do this work? What are things that we can carry to another generation?
I don't know. Something really beautiful that I've learned about living in Vermont is that people are very central to our life experiences. And when you come into a space where you have less access to like these things in which we're being monitored, you actually like realize that you have so much shared intelligence and community, and there's a lot of importance that I think can be grasped from that. For me, being here has meant a lot for how do I describe it? Like physical freedom, but food freedom, access to clean water, access to clean air, which are all things that we have been like intentionally denied, that have driven us to do things that in a lot of cases and I think that like a big part in our far oh my god far fight for freedom is fighting for access to these things and fighting for justice and fighting for liberation. And so I think that it is so important understanding and feeling these things, and knowing that they exist and knowing that they are here and knowing that like they are accessible through our communities, and that if we can build communities and spaces in places where we have access to all of the things that we need, I think that that really shuts out a lot of I think it really I'm about to make like a plant metaphor. I live on a farm now. I think it really sort of like I guess if surveillance was a chokes out that weed, so that we may, you know, grow together and have access to all the things that we were intentionally denied to push us into a box, and that are continuously being denied by a certain level of surveillance, you know, and access to these. Yeah, sort of rambling, but
No, thank you. Because I think it's about being all inclusive. And so I just want to say sincerely, like much sincere gratitude. We fight until we win. We're literally sitting with over 50 plus years of what it means to love Black folks in action, 45 years incarcerated. Plus, right, we have the new generation, those young folks that Mama Yana was talking about, not even just the young-ish. We're looking at 3 generations, right? 4 generations of those who are continuing with grandchildren of PPs and daughters of continuous freedom fighters. So I just want to say, like Mama Yana said, the movement is open. I'm throwing it back, I believe, to my comrade Jomo, because we're over time, but much gratitude and sincere thank you. I'm hoping y'all seeing the love in the chat for loving Black folks and taking the active verb of what love means. And we're excited. Jomo?
All right. Thank you all. Give them a round of applause in the chat. Thank y'all for sharing the wisdom and showing us how a movement where elders are respected and young people are elders are honored and young people are respected looks like in public. So I'm going to get y'all off the screen, and we're not done. This is just day one of Black August, and we have a whole program in store for folks. And so we're going to bring up Felicia from our at-large connected to our New York chapter to walk us through the chapters and for them to share what it is that they're going to be doing for Black August. So if you will, welcome to the spotlight, my comrade, Felicia, Free the Land, Black August Resistance.
Free the land, everybody, in Black August Resistance. Grateful to be here with all of y'all. And so, yeah, I'm here to talk about all the things that we have planned nationally and also that our local chapters have planned for the rest of this month. And so we're going to start off with every Thursday, we will be back here at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time for more political discussions and conversations about the Black August lessons from our revolutionary elders and ancestors and calls to action to free our political prisoners. Every Sunday, we are hosting our new Black August Sunday School for Struggle, hosting 2-day virtual study sessions of new African revolutionaries, Sekou Odinga and Kwasi Balagoon. All of these sessions are virtual for mass participation, so you come back and also bring your folks with you and make sure we're spreading the word. If you're not following MXGM on social media, follow them or follow us and also share there. And so then I'm going to bring up some comrades to talk about what their local MXGM chapters are doing so you can tap in your own city. And so first up, we have Nadira, who is in the New York chapter with me.
Free the land, y'all. Black August Resistance. It's good to be here with everyone. So I'm just going to run through a few of our events that we have going on in the New York chapter. So starting off this Sunday on August 4th, we have virtual yoga with Mama Ola. And on Saturday, August 10th, hey, Deb, I see you in the chat. On Saturday, August 10th, we have a CPR and AED choking maneuver training. It's free for all participants, and folks that attend the training will receive their certification. So if you are in New York City, pull up. You can go to our Instagram page after this call. This evening we'll have the registration posted. The next week on August 17th, we'll have Black Veg Fest, and we will be tabling there at that event. And again, we'll have yoga with Mama Ola virtually on August 18th. On August 24th, we're having a political prisoner letter writing workshop, which is basically where we raise awareness about our political prisoners that are still being held captive. And we provide materials to letter write to them. And we talk about the do's and don'ts of reaching out to our political prisoners. And that's going to be on August 24th. On August 25th, again, we're going to have yoga with Mama Ola virtually. And we're also going to have a Baba Sekou bike ride throughout the borough of Brooklyn. So those are both on August 25th. And on August 29th, we are having a virtual tip of the spear talkback. And on August 31st, to end the month, we are having a Black August bashment celebration. So this is all, some of it is virtual, but for the in-person things will be based in Brooklyn. So if folks are local, hit us up and we would love to have y'all.
Yes, beautiful. So many things happening in New York City for to tap into. Can get Comrade Angel to talk about what's going on in DC.
Uh-oh. Oh, I can't. Oh.
We do hear you.
You got it now. Go ahead.
Thank you for that, comrades. Little technical difficulty. So I'm back once again on Hell here with the DC chapter, and we have our wonderful third annual every Wednesday. In Black August, we will be hosting a political education session with our comrades, Pan-African Community Action Organization, on the revolutionary legacy of the Black Liberation Army. And then we are also, so we'll be studying the collected works of the Black Liberation Army, Volume 1. If you do not have the physical copy, you can definitely get the PDF through our Black August Resistance Handbook. We really encourage folks, if you are in the area, to come in person and break fast with us at the Black Workers Wellness Center in Southeast DC. We are going to have free food and water. So yeah, please come through. We would love to be in community with y'all and to study with y'all together. And it's also hybrid as well. And then for our fight portion, we are going to have Siddiqui Saturdays, where we will be co-hosting our first ever Curve Fest for political prisoners in DC, also at the Black Workers Wellness Center, located in Southeast. We're going to be raising awareness and funds for the political prisoner freedom campaigns. That will be on Saturday, August 17th. We'll also be having a film screening of Dope as Death. And we're going to have capoeira training. We will have childcare and child activities, political prisoner writing, and I'll also be seeding people's ears using AccuDetox that our Baba Matulu introduced to us and taught us. So I'm really excited to be seeding ears of like liberation and knowledge. So please come through for that. And that is from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. And then for our train aspect, we are doing, once again, 2 free community capoeira classes, including at Curve Fest, which I just mentioned. We're also hosting our annual Harriet Tubman hike on Saturday, August 31st. And that'll also be located in Maryland, and it is a recreation of the Underground Railroad. We did it last year. It was very beautiful. Lots of tears were shed, lots of joy, and grief was also processed. So please come out and join us again. And then for fasting, all of us will be participating in fasting. We also understand that if you cannot fast for personal reasons, so please fast from like social media, or anything that you feel as though you need to take a break from in order to commemorate Black August with us. And that'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you. So much greatness happening out of the DC chapter. Now I want to kick it over to Moose, who is in the Atlanta chapter, to talk about what Atlanta will be up to.
Hey, Freeland, comrade. Good to see you, Felicia. Good to see all the other comrades. Black August Resistance. In Atlanta, we've got a lot of things happening that we're excited to be doing. Some things will be new. Some things will be things that we've been doing for the past few years. And so we'll be doing Family Fitness Fridays each Friday of this month. So August 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th at 6:30 p.m. We'll be over at Mount Welcome, which is in Decatur on 581 Parker Avenue. And basically, inviting community to engage in different types of exercises, different types of activities that get us moving, getting into our bodies and engaging in this training. We also are going to be on the 9th having sort of a invitation through our New African Militia for folks to engage in some training through that, which is connected to the fight component. We're going to be doing some tabling and support on August 17th at the Pan-African Festival, which is put together mostly by the Beacon Hill Black Alliance. That's going to be at downtown Decatur at Decatur Square, over at 101 East Court Square in Decatur. And finally, but not least, we're going to be doing something similar to what's happening in DC. We're going to be helping co-sponsor Curb Fest in Atlanta. That's going to be on August 24th. And that will be at Little 5 Points Community Center. And it'll be taking place from 1 to 5 p.m. If folks want to get more information, follow us on MXGM, ATL, on IG. And yeah, we are looking forward to seeing some of our people out here in these streets.
Thank you. And shout outs to the Atlanta chapter. We did see on the slide that Oakland is up to doing Black August 365, an international Black August commemoration with movement elders. And so if you're in Oakland, check that out as well. This is amazing, and we look forward to you all participating in all of the events that we have nationally, and if you're close to any of the local chapters, participating in those events as well. I am now kicking it over to my comrade Maria from the DC chapter, who will give us some call to action for our in August.
All right, free the land, everyone. Black August Resistance. My name is Maria. I use she, her pronouns. I'm part of the DC chapter. We couldn't end this call without actually putting our words, our practices into action. So we have 2 slides about what you can do right now during this call, at the end of this call, to free our political prisoners. So we have 2 slides. We wanted to just represent the active freedom campaigns that we're looking to support and elevate. So Kamal Siddiqui, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, Mumia Abu Jamal, Leonard Peltier. So there are ways that you can engage to support. There's ways to donate to those campaigns, and we're going to be putting them in the chat. But if you go to our link tree, all of the links that you heard today are also in the link tree. So you can donate to Kamal Siddiqui. You can check out his website to be able to learn more about him and how to plug in. We're asking folks to sign the petition for Jamil Al-Amin and to follow his website. There's also some fundraising efforts on the website. And we know that Mumia has emergency health issues, so we continue to advocate and call on our community to donate to his health fund. The link is in the chat once again. And Leonard Peltier was denied clemency. So we, again, folks, there are some calls to action that are coming out of the July decision. So again, we're asking everyone to please plug in to be able to support these campaigns of political prisoners and prisoners of war. And then we know, as we talked about, next slide, Jomo, that the state continues to make political prisoners. Like Assata taught us that Black revolutionaries don't fall from the moon. We are created by our conditions. We are then also made into political prisoners by the state. So we've seen over the last decade a rise in social, in urban uprisings and rebellions across the country that have led to the capture of young people and community activists and organizers. So we're asking people to also not forget these comrades. We heard it from our elders and our young people on the panel. So we have Reverend Joy Powell. So we're again asking people to donate to her legal funds and to check out her website to figure out ways that you can support. And we have sets of young people who again are coming out from Ferguson, coming out of the 2020 uprising. So Josh Williams, Ann Smith, we're asking people from Ferguson and Philadelphia to be able to plug in and support. They're asking for donations to be able to continue to put money on their books and to also to be able to fight their fight for their freedom. So check out those websites and encourage you all to donate, to plug in, to get activated, to support our elder political prisoners coming out of our the New African Independence Movement and Colonized People's Independence Movement, but also the new generation of political prisoners that get made constantly by the state as young people and communities are uprising in rebellion against this empire. And let's not forget the work to protect the activists and organizers that are engaging in the necessary fight to stop Cop City in Atlanta and across the country and across the empire. So we know that the Georgia Attorney General obtained indictments around 61 people under RICO charges, right? These are the same charges that we know our elders and our freedom fighters and now ancestors have been captured under. They could face up to 20 years in prison. And even the smallest, well, not smallest, but even the raising of funds, like Baba Herman Bell said that we need to do, is under attack. So folks that are part of the bail fund have actually been raided and arrested and are being charged with money laundering. So we're asking people to engage in these fights, to engage in the freedom campaigns. And as Naima told us, we need to free them by any means. It may not be a popular front that you see, but we got to engage in, again, the fight aspect of Black August. So commemorate Black August by fighting for the release of our political prisoners, both elders and the young people, and the new wave of political prisoners that the state may need. And I think with that, I am kicking it to Jomo to tell us the really quick 2 reminders of what's coming up next that were in the slides.
All right, thank you, boss. All right, well, we have made it to the end of our program, and we're only 5 minutes over time. Look at us, Black August 45. So just want to remind folks again that we will be opening our Sunday School of Struggle starting this Sunday with a study around Sekou. And so not only do we want to, how we become to be like Sekou is to study Sekou. And so that'll be this Sunday. Let me get to the slide because it keeps sliding away from me. Boom, boom, all those again. Y'all remember that? There we go. So Sunday, August 4th and 11th, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can register BA Study Sekou. And that's going to be hosted, I believe, by folks from our Philadelphia chapter. So we're excited about that. So that'll be this Sunday, and then every Sunday in Black August for studying Sekou. And then the next 2 weeks the last 2 weeks we'll pick up a study around Kwasi Balagoon. And then next week we'll be back here August 8th to celebrate, to commemorate the life of Dr. Mutulu Shakur, again, who was a founder of the New African Peoples Organization, considered also a founder of the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. And so we'll be back again with another set of panelists, folks, to reflect on his life and legacy on Thursday, August 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, the registration link is there. And as we said, you can find all the registration links on the Malcolm X Grassroots link tree at Linktree Free to Land. So I believe that I have done my job here. And so we can close out here as we close out our National PP Committee meetings with what's the call?
Free them all.
Free them all. All right. And we want to invite our panelists, our folks, to come back on camera one more time so we can see all of our beautiful new African faces. And folks, thank you all for joining us and being with us. Thank you again to the elders who came, Mama Ayana, Baba Herman, Baba Watani, Angel, Maria, Moose, all the members of the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement who are out there pushing to make this happen. And all of you all who joined us to commemorate 45 years of Black August resistance and resilience into 45 years more until we free the land, y'all.
Free the land.
Shay, free the land, y'all. Free the land. Free the land by any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
Yes, Baba, come through.
Baba.
Free land, y'all. Free land.
All right, free the land.
Free the land.
Brand new Africans. Love y'all.
See y'all. Great work.